We're all holding on to stuff that is not serving us at the deepest of levels. Why aren't you letting go? Let's just start there. Not how do you let go? We'll worry about that later. Why aren't you?
Stop the wrong trains, start the right trains, never lose momentum. Those are the 3 rules at NLU. Stop the wrong trains is first for a reason. I think that is by far the most important. At least it has been in my life.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was 1214, one big piece of advice we stopped taking. Today, for episode number 1215, what's stopping you from letting go? I had a podcast breakthrough session yesterday, Alan, with 2 wonderful human beings. And it was, I don't want to say heated, but it was kind of heated. Because it was kind of like 2 against 1, because there was 2 of them and 1 of me. But it was good. They're really heart-driven individuals. So it was...
Been there.
Yeah, been there. Been there.
It was a rumble. As Brene Brown would say, it was a little rumble.
It was a little bit of a rumble. And they told me their goals. And I was like, all right, cool, let's jam. I always say, what's the most valuable use of our time together today? Let's do it. So we're jamming. And I said, look, I hate to be this guy. I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to say it, but you quite literally signed up for this free call, so I'll add value to you. Do you believe at some point or at some level, the name of your podcast is holding you back? And as a podcast coach, I'm not going to give the name, but I can tell you it is. I'm 100% certain. And they're like, ooh, I don't know. I don't think we're going to change the name, man. I don't know. I think the artwork and the name are to stay. Like there's a part of me, I don't know if I can ever change that. I was like, no, I totally understand. I said, look.
Been there.
We used to, I don't know if you know this, but we used to have a podcast and it was called the Hyper Conscious Podcast. And we had a world famous mentor named Evan Carmichael, who said to us on an Instagram Live, you guys are a couple of the best podcasters I've ever come across, but nobody knows what the hell hyperconscious means. You need to change your name. And we said, not going to happen, dude. We're not doing it. We won't do it. You can't make us. We're not going to do it. And now we are Next Level University because we changed our name. So even at that time, we were stubborn and we didn't want to change our name. And I told them that. And I said, look, at the end of the day, I might be able to give you 99 world-class pieces of advice. But the one thing that might hold you back forever is your name. I could give you all the best tips, all the best tricks and tactics and deeper understandings, but you might hold yourself back forever if you don't make this change. And I think at the end of the day, it's the fear of uncertainty, it's the stubbornness, it's the wanting to be in control. There's a million ways we can go with it, but what is stopping you from letting go? We are all holding on to things that aren't serving us. People, places, things, ideas, feelings, memories, emotions, whatever it is. We're all holding on to stuff that is not serving us at the deepest of levels. Why aren't you letting go? Let's just start there. Not how do you let go? We'll worry about that later. Why aren't you? Why aren't you letting go? Is it the thing that you're familiar with feels better than the uncertainty that comes without it? What's the deal for you if you're out there?
I have a story that just came up for me that I think is going to be really important for this episode. Emilia likes to gift books. My girlfriend Emilia likes to gift books often for Christmas, holidays, that kind of stuff. Big fan of books, unbelievable fan of knowledge, education, all that. So she gifted 3 books to her family members. The same book, hard copy, Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess. Have you read the book, Kev?
No.
Okay.
I like my mental mess.
Kevin likes his mental mess.
I'm kidding.
So I know. So Dr. Caroline Leaf, this is the loudest ever. Let me turn this down. Dr. Caroline Leaf wrote a book called Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess. And she was on the phone with one of her grandmothers last night. And she was telling me the story later, her verbalization of it. And she was saying how her grandma made a comment about how, oh, you think I've got a mental mess, huh? Like jokingly. Mm. But Emilia had this moment and she was like, oh, interesting. That title, that's the second time that someone has mentioned that title and they took me giving them that book as a little bit of an attack. Mm. And it's not an attack by any means. And it's not like her family's upset or anything. But there's something about that title that is inherently creates an aversion for some people. Cleaning up your mental mess, it's kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to want to get in there. I don't want, is this book going to tell me that I'm not good enough, that I have a mental mess, that I need to clean up my life, that my life's a mess, XYZ. It triggers people. It triggers people. What I've come to understand is that, and she said this last night, she said someone should have sat down, Dr. Caroline Leaf, and said, listen, I love your intentions. This is an excellent book, but we got to change the title. Because I think people's egos, their protectors, are a little bit afraid to read a book that's going to tell them they're not good enough, or going to tell them that they think is going to tell them they're not good enough. The book is awesome. I love the book, and the book is super helpful, so it's nothing like that. But I'm starting to understand, Kev, that one of the reasons why some of the best books I've ever read, like Algorithms to Live By, isn't going to win because most people don't know what algorithms are. And so whether it's a podcast title, or it's a book title, or it's what we title these episodes, or it's the branding of NLU, or it's what I wear, or the decisions that I make, if you're out there listening or watching this, you have things that you're hanging on to that you know are not working. That you know are not working. Now, this is a fine line, because if you have a title, and I'll give you another example. I have a blog post that was called Micro Failure for Macro Success. And Kevin had the courage to sit me down and say, Alan, nobody knows what that means. Micro failure for macro success. People don't know what micro means, and they don't know what macro means. And I'm like, well, I think microeconomics and macroeconomics. And he's like, yeah, no one knows what those courses are except for people who have taken those courses, which is what percentage. We get into this whole little mini rumble. And so we had a physical altercation, and I won. I'm just joking. No, we didn't. But the point is that we changed the title. Very simply, the title now is How to Fail Your Way to Success.
It's a good title.
It's a way better title. Way better. Okay. I had to let go of the title that I love. Micro Failure for Macro Success. I love that title. Love it. Oh, so good. So good. How to Fail Your Way to Success is a much better title. And that's just the truth, because it's going to reach more people. And since then, more people have read the blog and more people have been impacted, and NLU will benefit from that. And it's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win, because I was willing to not be stubborn. And so you got to know when to hold your ground. Don't get me wrong. Don't let people change your titles on you. If I held my ground on that, Kevin would have respected that, even though he could have respectfully disagreed. But you also got to know when what's not working isn't working, and you got to evolve and you got to change. And that's the hard part, is you don't really always know when. But I think that deep down, if it's holding you back and you know it's holding you back, at least give it a shot.
Next Level University and Kevin is exactly where you need to be if you're a podcaster. When I first started out just a few months ago, I had no clue on the direction I was going. I was getting hustled by another company that was giving me not even close to the value that Kevin and Next Level U was giving me. They literally changed the trajectory of my podcast, have helped me out tremendously. They understand the clients. I promise you, you will not go wrong with dealing with Kevin and Next Level U. I'll see you there.
One of the hardest times I had was, and we talked about this a little bit recently, but I was a mindset coach for however many years, and here I am with a podcast business, trying to grow a podcast business. And I remember when I stopped doing mindset coaching, like, that was really hard for me to let that go, because that was part of my identity. And I remember thinking, well, then what am I going to talk about on the podcast? I'm not going to have any client stories. I'm not going to have any breakthroughs. Like, what am I supposed to do? And that was really scary. So one of the reasons I was afraid of letting go is because I didn't know how to replace that part of my identity. So that's a part of it. I think another part of it is significance. If you're getting significance from something, what are you doing over there?
I'm trying to figure it out. I've got some technical challenges over
tell.
here.
It's all over the place.
My microphone and stuff is not set up properly. I don't know why. We've got a 15-minute episode and I can't get it together. That's my bad. I apologize.
We got two faff-teens, as we call them. So yeah, I was just sharing. I don't know if you were. I'm sure you were listening. I don't know if you were able to focus, but significance is a big one. Identity is a big one. So the significance of me having my dream car, and then when my car broke down and it wasn't financially responsible for me to go get a brand new sports car, that sucked. I had to let go of that part of my identity. I love having new cars. I've always, not always, but from the age where I was working full time, where I had enough money, I wanted to buy a new car. I didn't want to have to get a used car. Me? I haven't gotten a used car since I was 17. And then I did it again when I was whenever I bought this other car. That was really hard for me to let go of that identity, to let go of that picture of who I was. It was a challenge. That was a challenge. And I think it's just important that we all check in with, we all have something we're doing that we know we shouldn't be, probably. But there's a reason we're hanging on to it. Certainty, comfort, misguided expectations, significance. We're just used to it, right? Like there's a lot of reasons it could be there, but I like these episodes because I think I want an episode like this to be a safe place to reflect, where it's like, you know what? You guys kind of suck for saying this. You kind of suck for saying this, but you feel safe enough to say, but let me take a look. Because I'm sure Alan and I have stuff. I mean, for a long time, it was Alan was watching movies in the middle of the day. I was playing video games in the middle of the day, and we had to let that go.
I had to
let it go.
That
Even
was a
though
dangerous game.
It was hard and it made us feel good or whatever. It's not easy. And again, this whole self-improvement, personal growth, personal development, evolution, hyper-consciousness is just a challenge. But usually it's a you against you game. And at least that's a winnable one.
Well, it's the law of trade-offs. You trade off this person, place, thing, or idea that you've been holding on to your whole life. And you know it's not good for you. I was on the phone with a listener earlier, actually. And I had her close her eyes, and I was closing mine as well. And I said, of all the people in your life, this person, you know it on some level, is just toxic. They're just toxic. They're not good for you. And she said it out loud. And now that you know that, the reason why we don't ask the tough questions is because once we know it, now we have to do something about it. Yeah. At least before you could be in ignorant, ignorance is bliss? No, ignorance is not bliss, but temporarily, I guess, maybe. But that's what I want this episode to be for everybody, which is, what is it, the person, place, thing, or idea that you've been hanging on to that you know is not serving you? You know it's just a little bit toxic. You know that you'd be better off without it, even though it sucks. And for me, one thing that I've been doing lately is reading right before bed. That's really, really good for me. And I fall asleep really quick because, honestly, reading can be boring. Full transparency, it can be boring. But I read a specific type of book before bed. It's a book that I consider a level set. And what I mean by that is it's a book that helps me remember how good I have it, even though it seems so challenging every single day, growing business, growing team, growing myself. And I just know that's a really good thing, but I had to give something up for that. You know, we can't watch movies as late now. Or I have to give up some sleep, or I have to give up my morning routine a little bit because I'm going to sleep in later or whatever. There's always a trade-off, always. And usually the pain of the trade-off comes long before the benefit. And we can do this thing in our heads over and over and over again of, oh, well, you know, they're actually nice sometimes, and, you know, that's really not that bad for me, and, well, I only drink on occasion, or I only smoke on occasion, whatever it is. Insert toxic thing not serving you here. And maybe toxic is an extreme word. Maybe it's something that's just always you've kind of known. I'm better off without that person, place, thing, or idea. That's what I would say is try giving it up. Maybe a couple weeks. Read before bed for a couple weeks. Or maybe try a bedtime at 10 p.m. for a couple weeks. Give it a shot. You know, stop talking to that person for a couple weeks. See if you feel better. Whatever it might be. I really do think that that's huge. And I said this, last thing I'll say. I think saying no to the wrong person's, places, things, and ideas is way more important than saying yes to the right ones. I've come to realize that we have stop the wrong trains, start the right trains, never lose momentum. Those are the 3 rules at NLU. Stop the wrong trains is first for a reason. I think that is by far the most important. At least it has been in my life.
Strong work. Strong.
Thank
Look
you,
at
bud.
us. We actually stayed on time for this episode. You believe that?
Not bad. We're
That
about
is
to
something-
screw it up, though.
that is something amazing.
We have 44 seconds.
Well, we have to record another one. Next Level Nation, we are having a live event in person in Worcester, Massachusetts, April 1st, 2023. I want you to think of it as a large gathering of self-improvement. There's going to be 50 people in the audience, so 49 people plus yourself, and then Alan and I on stage. But also, it's not just going to be on stage. It'll be on stage in the audience. I want this to be something collaborative. I want this to be something that is an experience, not a speech, not a presentation. I want it to be an experience where you leave with friends, you leave with new emotions, you leave with a deeper understanding of yourself, but you leave with an experience you will never forget. If we can do that, we did our jobs. That is our goal. Everything you need to know is in the show notes. April 1st, 2023, Worcester, Mass.
If you want to do it different in 2023 and you want to get to the end of the year, imagine it's the end of 2023 and you're reflecting on the year and you're saying, this was hands down the best year of my life. I made health progress. I made wealth progress. I made love progress. I have grown more in this year than any other year. If you want someone in your corner who's going to help you stay accountable, who's going to help you track your habits, I am here for you. So if you've ever been curious about coaching, jump on the phone for a half hour with me. I'll tell you all about it. I'll show you what all my clients are doing. There are clients who send me messages that say, I've never considered this about myself. I can't believe I'm doing this. There have been so many success stories that I've gotten, particularly at the tail end of 2022, because people reflect on the year typically. And I can tell you, I have a folder of literally thousands of screenshots of messages at this point from listeners and from clients who have reached out saying that I've helped them change their lives. Please reach out, book on my calendar. There'll be a link in the show notes. I love to meet listeners. At the very least, I'll just get to know you. You'll get to know me. Something will come of it. And if you do want to coach, awesome. If you don't, no worries. But I hope to meet you soon.
Next Level Nation, tomorrow for episode number 1216. You don't want to be happy all the time. I'm very excited to do that episode. That comes from an episode I did recently with somebody else. Alan, I know you will be excited for that. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
And we will see you at the next level.